when it comes crashing down and it hurts inside, we gotta take a stand. It don't help to hide. If you hurt my friends, then you crashing down.
I'm Stacy Newton, and I was just interviewed by Keith Andrew. And if you ever get the chance to find his link on YouTube, you should definitely subscribe to Keith Andrew. He is amazing. He is making a difference. He has very inspirational guests on his YouTube channel, and I was very honored to be on his show.
And it hurts inside. We gotta take a stand. It don't help to hide. If you hurt my friends, then you hurt my pride. I gotta be a man. I can't let it slide. I am a real American. Fight for what's right. Fight for your life.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the KeithAndrewNetWork. That's available on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and all social medias. On the KeithAndrewNetWork, 50 more episodes, and then we're going to reach our goal of 1,200 episodes. Well, with that being said, it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday night. You know what that means? It's Disney night. If you're a fan of Jungle Book and Dumbo, go to your Apple TV, Fire Stick, anywhere you watch TV if you have internet, or go to youtube.com and type in any of your Disney films and you get to watch that today. That being said, we have a very special guest here on the KeithAndrewNetWork. She already introduced herself in the introduction. So the first subject I want to talk to you about is called Icebreakers. Tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. My name is Stacy Newton. I am an author, a film writer, and an actress. I'm originally from Houston, Texas, but I've been going back and forth from Los Angeles to Dallas since COVID.
No, absolutely. Actually, that's the next subject I want to talk to you about. How has COVID impacted your life, and do you see life in a different point of view?
Oh, yes, definitely. Great question. Yes, I mean, I was living the life in LA. I was filming. I was out with all my filming friends. And then I came to Dallas for my birthday, where my parents live. And suddenly we were shut down in a week. And then 2 years later, I was really in Dallas and not so much in LA, because Los Angeles was really shut down. I was in more of an open state, but my filming stopped. Pretty much everything stopped except writing was really, really big. People were really reaching out to me for screenwriting. So I was really very busy with writing. And I finished a couple of books as well. And it just really impacted my life in the way that, I know it sounds kind of corny, but it made me feel very appreciative and grateful that wherever the seed is planted, you can grow. Like, I know LA was a huge place for filming, but I had to figure out what was I going to be doing if I wasn't going to be able to go back and forth, you know? So grateful I was able to film in Louisiana and Georgia, and I can write anywhere. So I decided that wherever you're planted, you can create.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned Dallas, and you were going back and forth to California. Do you prefer California or do you prefer Dallas?
Oh, that's so hard because I love Los Angeles. It's always my home. but it really changed during COVID. A lot of my friends moved out. A lot of like some of the filming companies moved out. I've kind of made Dallas somewhat my home now. But really, Houston and LA are really my home. I still feel like sometimes I'm just visiting Dallas. um, so that's kind of hard because I love Los Angeles. You know, it'll always be my home.
Well, let me ask you this. What is your opinion about global warming? And is there a way to stop it? Because I saw videos of Texas where there was like an over, I don't know, I don't know if it's a real video or not, but there was an underpass that was filled with water. So,
Yes.
so it is a true story.
Well, I do know that in places like Houston or where like the hurricane came through, and I know that Houston was devastated with another storm, I think in May. And Houston, as long as I've been alive in Houston, has never really been able to take on water, even though we've been hit by hurricanes, monsoons. I do believe that climate change is changing, but I also believe Houston's still fairly new, and Houston is constantly building. And I do believe that the more concrete there is and the less trees and grass, I do believe that somehow that does affect like wind tunnels. And I mean, I'm not a geologist or anything, or I mean a meteorologist, but I do believe in some ways it does kind of impact the strength of the storm. And I'm a big believer in the ocean warming too. I think the ocean warming, like Galveston, which is near Houston, um, I'm just a real big believer that climate changing is really affecting our water.
No, especially, recently in Hawaii, a volcano erupted. So, there is solar activity going on.
Oh, yes, yes. And yeah, I think the sun is getting hotter and the winters are getting colder. I don't know. It's really strange. But here in Dallas, we have more snow and ice than we do in Houston because of where we're located. And we haven't really had that much ice and snow like we usually do here. This is kind of unusual. But we definitely have had heat, like a lot of heat.
Actually, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about your writing when we come back from this quick commercial break.
Hey everyone, this is Jennifer Brand, U.S. Army Sergeant Retired. Just shout out to everybody in the Keith Andrew Network. July happens to be Military Appreciation Month, so I would like to wish you all a happy Military Appreciation Month, and of course, happy birthday to America from the 4th of July.
For the first question, I want to ask you, what is difficult about being a writer for you?
What is difficult? Um, Actually, I don't find writing difficult or creating. Um, I think sometimes what's difficult about writing is when I start a project, whether somebody has hired me or I'm doing it on my own, is that's all I do is I'll write from start, beginning, and ending, which is great. But if you're emailing me or you're texting me or you're messaging me, I'm not on Facebook. I'm very hard to reach during that time. It's kind of lonely, to be honest. I mean, because then I get really engaged and then people my friends, they're like, oh, you're not available. I'm like, but I'm a writer. It takes so much time when you're in that moment to really submerge yourself. But I think that's one of the difficult things about being a writer is that one, it can be lonely. And second, when you're in that world, it's very hard to get out of that world.
No, I agree. Now, do you consider yourself a coach because you have written so many books?
Yes, yes, most definitely. I have helped coach a lot of writers. I've actually helped coach a lot of like professional writers too, because they want to know like about publishing or okay, so I wrote my book, now what? Now what do I do? Or how do I market it? Or how do I get people to buy my book? Um, Being in this industry, even though I've only been in this industry for about 6 years, yeah, 7 years, not very long. Um, Being a self-starter, I've done it all. So I feel like I have a lot of knowledge to help others um, when they come to their crossroads.
Well, let me ask you this in a different way. As a writer, as a coach, what experience do you have in leading people in writing projects?
Um, you mean like in helping them write their projects?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Well, usually I am very non-traditional kind of writer. I believe, story sells, right? Um, and you don't write a book to make money. And I think that's one of the things I really tell people who come to me, my clients, is of course people want to make money. I'm going to make a book. It's going to be a film, and then I'm going to write this script, And writing a book, which is incredible to get it published and is very exciting. Um, Sometimes the money doesn't always happen as fast as you would like it to be. And that's the reality, of writing, especially writing a book, you know. Um, but yeah, I tell like my clients that if they really want to write, like they're not too sure, I tell them get a spiral, go to Walmart, get a whole bunch of 99-cent spirals and just write. Don't worry about the beginning, the middle, the ending. Don't worry about edits. Don't worry about chapters. Just get everything that's in your mind on the paper because you don't want anything interrupting your creativity. And then once you have it there, that's how I never get writer's block. Because once I have it out, I can tweak it, I can change it, I can start making chapters. I can say, oh, I don't like that character, or this character should be meaner, or blah, blah, blah. And then that way, it's like a puzzle. You can start, playing with it.
No, I agree with you. You have to enjoy what you do because if you don't, you're going to set yourself up for failure.
Yes, no, that is true. There's a lot of people that think they want to write, and then they kind of decide, maybe I that's where they hire me because I love writing. I love telling stories. I do scripts. Script writing was very, very different because it's a small amount of writing, you know, in a short amount of time. So when I moved to LA to pursue my film writing, it was really challenging for me. Like, oh, you mean this isn't going to be a 400-page script? No, you only have 2 hours, which is 66, 120 at the most pages. Uh, but yeah, you really do have to love what you do. And I do believe that if you love what you do, you'll never have to work a day in your life.
Let me ask you this, with everything that you have written, do you think you can turn anything into a story?
Hmm. You mean anything that I've written?
Or with everything that you've written about, if you or
Oh,
hypothetically,
I
I don't know,
see.
myself, would you be interested? How would you write for my show to make it better? Because you read in a
Oh,
lot of great books.
I see what you're saying. But see, something like this is great unscripted. There are certain things that I think are beautiful unscripted. There are certain conversations that should be just very natural, you know, because I think, if it's scripted, sometimes it comes off very artificial.
Yep.
And I think that it's important to keep dialogue natural. So I really do inform my writers and especially my film writers, those that are trying to write scripts. Dialogue is so important and sounding natural between two people having a deep conversation or just having a conversation on a certain level, um, to me is really very nourishing. I mean, look at some of your films like Pulp Fiction or even some of your Disney, like your animated films, The Lion King, any of them. Just very natural. I call it ping pong dialogue. Just very natural dialogue. And yeah, because I'm not a really firm believer in scripting,
Right.
like shows, unless you're doing a movie. I mean, unless like this is my script, I'm becoming a character, and that's what I'm going to do. But I don't think you can make your show any better, Keith. I love your show. I think that's the one thing that's beautiful about it. It's not scripted.
No, absolutely. A lot of people keep saying, "Oh, can you send the questions, over beforehand?" It's like, yeah, I can do that, but then it's premeditated because then it's kind of
That's
like
true.
you know what I'm going to ask, and when I ask it, you're gonna snap your fingers. But I wanted you to be like, "Oh, that's a good question," instead of, "Oh, wait, what question did he ask?" And it's kind of dumb. So I want it to be authentic instead of
Right.
predetermined.
Yeah, no, I like that authenticity. No, that's great.
But the next one I want to ask you, it's
Yes.
actually two parts. The first part is,
Okay.
what is song of the day for you? Was there a song that you listened to? And also, what is your favorite music group?
Okay, this is so easy. I'm so glad you asked this question. Okay, so my song right now, my summer song is Murder on the Dance Floor. It just, the creativity starts just when I hear it, I'm just like, just the stories start, just everything starts really reenacting in my brain. And yeah, actually, I listen to that song at least 5 times a day, believe it or not. Yes. And then my favorite group, well, this is kind of challenging. I would have to say Coldplay. They're the ultimate band because every song has a meaning and it's very human. I love the way Chris Martin is kind of zen and very relatable. And yeah, no, I'm obsessed with Coldplay.
Now, the reason I bring up music is when you write it, is there any
Mhm.
mood music you listen to, or you have to work in silence?
I do work in silence, but sometimes I listen to things like before, like I might start my day with Coldplay, and then I'll listen to Murder on the Dance Floor. And that's like where the beauty starts coming. And that I'm able to like really sit and focus. But yeah, no, I have to have complete silence
And
because my characters in my head are like constantly talking and shifting and they're changing and you know they're living in their world and I want to like hurry up and get it out, you know what I mean, like whew.
well, let me ask you this: With have you ever thought about ghostwriting, and how does social media impact your career?
I have done a ghostwriting project during COVID, and I have been asked to do some ghostwriting, but I hate to sound shallow. Now, there are some people that are great ghostwriters, and they don't want to be known, which is
Yeah.
great. I mean, and there are so many companies and all that kind of stuff. For me, I I feel like if I'm co-writing or if I'm helping story editing or doing something that's part of the story, I would like to be recognized because that's my baby. That's your work. Um, for me, it's hard to write something and then have somebody else's name on it because one of the hard things about writing when you're hired that way is you have to write like that person. You cannot write like Stacy. You cannot, you have to just become whoever that person is hiring you to write something, you know, which I think is kind of challenging.
Well, let me ask you this: Have you ever thought about having your own YouTube show? And if someone did the work for you, would you be interested in having your own show?
Oh, you mean like if somebody was like going to write the content or like a script or something, or kind of had some kind of like a storyline or an idea? Sure. I would definitely think about that.
Well, we can definitely talk about that off the air. But you bring up two interesting points that I want to talk to you about. You mentioned characters. The first one I want to ask you is well, this is actually one of my favorite questions. How do you build a character?
Um, Usually like my character, that's a really good question. So part of my two main characters that I have out of my two books that I have out are female characters. Um, I think it's very important to have strong characters, but also have weak moments because nobody's perfect. I like characters that are real, that are relatable, that even men can relate to, because I'm not into writing like chick stuff. I like my books and my scripts very adaptable to both men, women, um, that anybody can relate to that character. Their emotions. I think emotions is a very good way to build a character. Like, is this character going to be shallow? Are they self absorbed? Are they hurting because of the things that have happened to them and they feel like life isn't fair? Or are they the type? So I think really character building kind of is going to kind of fit like a storyline, you know? I think the two of them kind of go together.
This one was my other favorite question that I always
Okay.
ask. And I have like producing questions, I have acting questions, and I wanted to ask this. I was looking for my cards, like, well, where is that question? Because I know it, but I can't find it. So the question I want to ask you is, what is hard about catering and building to the right audience?
Um, you cannot write for yourself. I mean, that's great that if you write a book and you love it, you think it's great, and you don't care if anybody likes it because you love it, you really have to write for a audience. Like when I start writing, and then, I write my story on my 99-cent notebook. After I do all that, before I even start really methodically cleaning it up, I think of who is this story for? Who am I selling it to? Or who am I writing for? What is my audience? And then from that, I can start building my, like, the journey or the character and the events, and really kind of enhance that story, because I think it's very important to know who your audience is, are you writing a book hoping it's going to be a film? Are you writing so people that go into Barnes and Nobles who are like really into loving books, are you selling, your story to them? So yeah, I think that's a very, very important question. You really do have to know your target.
No,
And even
absolutely.
on Amazon.
Absolutely. I do have a couple questions for you off the air. With
Okay.
social media, how can our fans and listeners get in touch with you?
Yes, I am on Facebook, just my regular name, Stacy Newton. I also have an Instagram account. It's SKY, let's see, SKYO writer. And I also have a website. And yeah, because I don't have LinkedIn. So yeah, that's pretty much Instagram and Facebook where you can connect with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I do have a couple questions for you off the air, but wrapping up, I want you to be brutally honest. When I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what made you say yes, and how do you feel now?
Oh, I love being interviewed. I love sharing my journey, my ups, my downs, faults, whatever makes up me. So I can really help and reach out to others who might be like, oh, that answered my question, or I'd love to be a writer. I don't know, or even if just anything creative, because I feel like nothing is easy in the beginning, but you just have to keep trying, you know? And I think that's very inspirational. Um, oh, I'm still enjoying this. I could probably talk all night long. No, I'm thoroughly enjoying this. But I enjoy sharing my journey.
And how do you feel now, and what do you recommend it to other people?
Oh, you mean your show?
Yes.
Oh, yes, definitely. Yes. I would definitely recommend your show.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have a couple of questions for you off the air, but wrapping up, our
Okay.
goal is to reach 500 to 1,000 views. If you're watching, you're obligated to leave a comment and any ideas or subjects of what we should talk about. Yes, you would like to see on the Keith Andrew Network, but more importantly, leave a comment. I would like to interact with you. Our guests would like to interact with you. But wrapping up, it was a real honor privilege having you as a guest, and I'm looking forward to part 2 down the road. Until we meet again, I catch you later. Thank you,
Thank
and
you.
have a good night.